Check, check. I think we're live. Oh, we got an echo. Fix that. Where's the Facebook live stream? How you doing, chat? Quackity Duck, I love Roblox. Julian Maraz, Tony OBJ, Super Zombie 49, Sticky Keyboard, Turbo Man, Yu-Gi-Oh. Hey guys. Hey Ben. So I'm trying to get I'm trying to multi-stream to 3 different services now. I used to just be streaming on Twitch, now I'm streaming to YouTube and Facebook as well. But I'm not familiar with those services. So right now I'm just going through and making sure that the stream is up on all the platforms. It's up on YouTube for sure. It's up on Twitch for sure. Yeah. Cool. So I got the YouTube chat open as well. Ooh, I'm gonna have to juggle all these chats. And now, hey, there we go. We're live on Facebook too. Cool. All right, so I wanted to make this stream more like a trial run. I'm not going to be doing anything crazy technical this stream. But what I do want to do is demonstrate a couple coding concepts just broadly. And I'm going to turn what used to be more of like a stream where I just worked on Roblox games to a stream where I demonstrate basic coding concepts in a way that can be understood by most people. 25% of people? I don't know. I'm gonna try to reach the biggest audience possible. We still will work on Booga, obviously, as most of the people here will be asking about it, but expect the format to be a little choppy. Anyway, so I had an idea for a first demo, if you will, of what kind of coding notion we can show people is easy to create so that they can get inspired to maybe learn coding to make their own systems. And one of the biggest things I thought of was databases. They're so important. Everybody uses databases nowadays for multiplayer games, for banking, for any account you've ever created on the internet. So I guess we'll lay out the structure. You need a server that can store information indefinitely. You need to be able to access that information, and you need a client that can input the information to receive, a client that can input a key to receive the information held on the server, essentially a password. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be creating a UI very simple text box. Put that right in the center of the screen. So this is going to be our login. We'll narrow this. Okay, cool. So now, all we want to do is fetch data. So we're also going to have an output. Let's say we'll get to the coding in just a minute. We have to have this UI set up first. Okay. Hey, thanks for the sub. It was a Twitch sub by Quackity Duck. So this frame purely exists just to output the data that we're going to receive when we ask the server, hey, what's my account information? Let me just make this a little prettier. Okay. So we have our login and then we have our output. Now, this is where we start creating the database itself. So if you're using something like ROBLOX, it comes with an API essentially, which is a way for you as a developer to interface with a lot of preset functions that control things on the ROBLOX backend. And by things, I mean you can create a new database on ROBLOX's backend. They'll store it on their servers. You can access it anytime with some limits. You can't spam it and you can't store certain data, but you can store most data. And you can almost store anything if you can compress it into JSON format. Now, what that means for you is if you are on ROBLOX, you have to either host your own data or find a data hosting service. I think Google hosts data pretty well, and they have a very clean API that you can interface with. This, of course, depends on virtually every aspect of your game. If you're making it on or off ROBLOX, you can even make a database completely locally. So like on the same network is hosted the database and all the clients, and you don't even need a third party. That's totally possible too. You just generate files. You could use Batch for that, I guess. We're gonna stick right now with ROBLOX Lua. It's a breed of Lua that's been designed specifically for ROBLOX, and it differs very little from actual Lua, L-U-A. I think ROBLOX calls theirs Luau right now. Okay, so let's just start by getting the data store service. Now we need to create a new data store. We'll call this account data. The variable name and the name of the data store we're getting are completely inconsequential. You could name this anything you wanted to. You could name this just A. But this is the string key. This is what we're going to be asking ROBLOX for. Get data store is a function of the data store service. So all this is going to give us is an empty table. Effectively, account data looks like empty braces. Now, give me one sec. The D and B is a little distracting. I want to go copyright free lo-fi. Okay. Yeah, I dig it. So effectively, account data looks like an empty table. This is going to be the same across programming languages, across hosting services, I guess. When you're making a database for the first time, essentially conceptualize it as an empty table. Now, this requires preliminary knowledge of loops and preliminary knowledge of just basic indexing. Now, the loops would index, but you need that to index en masse. Okay, so we have our account data. Now, ROBLOX specifically, when a player joins, you're able to get their user ID from a listener called player added. So game.players, player added, connect function. We're just setting up an anonymous listener, the player here. Local ID is the player.userID. Now, their data, local data equals account data, player.userID. So we're here in this instance, we're fetching their data. Sorry. There's a special function if you want to interface with ROBLOX's data source called getAsync. It's essentially the exact same as interfacing with a table in the back end anyways. it would look like this. And of course we can eliminate that redundancy thanks to variables. Get async just allows it to be safer on their end. Hey, we got the first guy in the YouTube comments, Sticky Keyboard 34. Hey, only 34 people on YouTube? Yeah, makes sense. Hey, let me announce this to the Discord that we're going live. I'm gonna plug all the handles. Do I have stream notifications? Plant forms. All right, I'm just linking all the streams. Cool. So in this database, which we've just named database handler, we get their data once they join the game. Now, if you have a user connecting to your service for the first time, if you're working with something like a web page where you don't know anything about this person until they input their information, for instance, we're not working with cookies or any other kind of tracking data, we don't know who is on our site for the first time, all we know is what we learn from the user's input. So we'd say, well, we need a function that just listens for generic input from anybody and then fetches the data based on that. So let's do that instead. We're going to comment out this function, which is how you kind of normally do it in Roblox, and we'll just make some kind of generic, you know, like as if you were opening a bank account. So we'll say, oh, hey, B-Man, what's up? We'll say local fetch account data. And we need two things, a username and a password. Now, the user's password will be stored in their data. So that happens when they open the account. I'm going to return account data, get async. So this is tricky on Roblox because their username and their imaginary ID aren't going to be the same. So let's keep username, and we're just going to use their Roblox username in this instance, but the pass is going to be sorry, we'll say user ID. The pass is going to be something they make up. Doesn't have to be their Roblox password, obviously. We don't care about that. We don't want that information. So we're just going to get the user ID. Now, if the password contained within their data is equal to the password they submit, then it's okay to return the data. So this function purely just says, okay, get the data for that user ID if data exists, because it could very well not exist. They might not have an account. It's like trying to log in with the wrong email. So now let's say we need some way for the client to actually ask, like what pathway are they asking along. For that, we'll set up a remote event. For web servers, I'm not sure what the equivalent of this is. Some kind of like, you'd assign a token to their request and then keep a log of the token. But for Roblox, you don't need to do that because they queue up events as they go along remote events. So for this instance, we'll make it real simple. We'll throw a remote event named login in replicated storage. So game replicated storage login on server event. Connect this to an anonymous function. And then all we need is the user ID and the input pass. Now, here we get the data. And we should do ourselves a favor and put some error messages in here if perhaps they don't actually have data. No data. We'll do a warning just so it doesn't actually yield the script. No accounts by that user ID. Oh, this music's pretty funky. If data.pass is equal to input pass, then return data. Else, warn invalid password. We'll say pass. Okay. So the login, we fetch the data, their user ID, and their input pass, and then we need to get that to the player. So we could just say return fetch account data and make this a function. And you know, this is the smarter thing to do, because truly in the world outside of Roblox, what you'll do is you'll send a request and then the server will send you back something. You won't just send the server a request with the potential for nothing to happen. I mean, it could happen, but if the server wasn't connected to you, but if the server is connected to you, presumably you'll get a response back. And for that, we can use a remote function, which is a little handier in this situation. Just got to bind it properly. It's like on server invoke. I want to say this is right, but connect that to a function? No, that'd be just like a listener then. Okay. Hide that. We can simply return fetch account data. Real simple here. So that's great, but how do we make an account to start? Well, we're gonna need to make some more functions. Local create account. Now, this is where normally you'd set up stipulations, do you want them to have a capital letter and a punctuation and a special character, whatever, a certain password length, a certain username, spelling, I guess, like in Roblox, you can't have spaces or something like that. You'd put all those checks in the create account function. But for us, the only thing we care about is that it's not going to override an account that already exists. So that shouldn't be too hard. We'll just say local conflicting data equals fetch account data user ID input pass. So that's one. We'll make an exception in our other function. We'll say fetch account data, fetch account data. Where's the misspelling here? What's the misspell? Unknown global. Is it just because it's declared after and it's a local variable? Probably. Oh yeah, that's it. Okay, so we'll say if input pass, then we'll submit this data. Otherwise, no password given. Just return whether or not the data exists. That's a little kludge. This could be done in a more beautiful way. But it works for our purposes. So we have a function that fetches the account data and will return if we just feed it a password and not a, if we just feed it a username and not a password, it will return whether or not the data exists, period. Create account. So we get the conflicting data. If conflicting data, then warn no data by that name. Or I mean, data an account. We'll go full roleplay with this. An account already exists with that user ID. Otherwise, we're clear to make the new account. So we're going to set it up pretty simply with a set async. Now, for those of you who don't know what set async is, it's a function of the data store service. Sorry, it's a function of the data store, the specific data store. So you have to get it from the data store service first. That will post. Essentially, it's like a post async request where you were just setting keys in this big table. Remember how I said account data is just one big table? Set async will turn one key of this table to one chunk of data. So we're going to set async the user ID equal to the data template. Now, what's the data template? Well, we need to make that. What does their blank data look like? Data, I will say account template. I like data template better. So what should we include? Their pass, for one. It won't equal anything right now. Just it's there to give us a visual, what we can expect from the data template. Maybe balance. Maybe this is how much money's in their account. Maybe transaction history. And that's a table. And maybe whether they are online or not. So status. That can be offline. Offline. Online. Hidden. So we're going to set the account equal to data template. Set async the user ID in account data to the data template. That's good enough. That's good enough. So now we'll make a function just for removing accounts. That's super simple. Just pass the user ID and the input pass. We won't even need that. Clients will never be able to call remove accounts in our hypothetical. That's all. We'll just flag it. Server use only. And this is really the basis for any account system that you'll find in the world. When you log into your Apple ID, when you log into Facebook, when you log into YouTube, Twitch, Roblox, this is what they're doing in the back end. They have a data bank full of IDs and data, and they just look for your ID. If there's data attached to it, they'll be like, okay, is the password in that data the password this guy sent? And they'll be like, yep, let him in, or no go, tell him he can't have any data. So we're pretty close to sunset. I definitely want to head off before sunset, but this system won't take too long. And again, this is just a trial run of a stream, because now I'm streaming to all 3 major services, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch at the same time. So I'm going to get better chat juggling skills. I see a lot of people on YouTube now. What's up, guys? 21 people on YouTube. There's a bigger audience on Twitch if you want to chat there. I wish we could merge the chats somehow, but I don't think that's possible. Still figuring this out. Let me check out the Facebook live stream real quick, see how that's going. Well, that's pretty cool. All right, cool. So creating the account, removing the account, and fetching the account's data. What else is left? So we could allow them to affect the parameters. We definitely wouldn't want them to be able to affect the balance, but they can affect their status all they want, right? So we'll say update async. Let me just quickly refresh my memory on how update async works on Roblox. And so this is the API I was talking about. Essentially, it's just a way for you as a developer to interface with a backend for something like Roblox, where they have massive functions just away from user access. Right here, okay. You get the old value returned by this function, and you return the new value. So super easy. We'll say change status is a function. This will allow them to actually manipulate their status. All we need is the user ID and the input pass. No, they're not going to be passing input. We will verify that the user ID they're passing is the same as the user ID that they're currently logged into, at least. So this is just account data. New value equals old value. Wouldn't be too hard to say old value, user ID, and the status change. Old value dot status equals status change. Now this is a little dangerous because the client could theoretically send any string they wanted to as a status. So we're also going to have a table of viable statuses. Online, offline, say hidden. And those could have more parameters down the road, such as color. This is where you'd put the color in. Confirm that the status they're changing is a valid status. Good as gold. Okay, old value. Boom. So that will effectively change their status. So backpedal a little bit. Let's summarize everything we've done so far. We've created a local login menu, unscripted. We'll have to go rig up the input for that. But the database handler is almost completely solid. We create a new data bank called account data. We created a data template for new accounts, a list of valid statuses, the ability to change a status, and then creating account can be done, removing an account can be done, fetching an account data can be done. Those are virtually all you need to operate a login, log out kind of service. Now, let's go to the client. This is where we work on the client. We're going to put this in starter player scripts. I'm going to say this is the login GUI. Tag the local player. Get the player GUI. I'm going to wait for child on the login GUI because it's not a service. It's not guaranteed to be there when we load in the game, though most of the time it is. Now we're going to bind everything. So login GUI.textbox. Now we need to know the functions of a text box. This is all arbitrary. If you're working on a platform other than ROBLOX, you're gonna have to find some way to some way to send the information. The client types it in, hits go. Could be HTML based entirely. But that's completely out of my realm. So clear text on focus, get property change signal. It's got to have an event, right? Should be in the events. Focus lost. Return pressed from on-screen keyboard. I think we want focus lost. That'll work for now. So login GUI, text box, focused, lost. Connect that to an anonymous function that says enter pressed. And what was the other bool? Was it a bool? Input that caused focus loss. So that's a mouthful. Both of those kind of inconsequential. All we need to do is read the text at the time that it's sent. And we're going to make sure clear text on focus is true. And it is. So all we do is if enter pressed, then go into game replicated storage, back to that remote function that we made called login. And we're going to invoke the server with our user ID and the password. The user ID is just our player's ID. So we're going to change the ghost text. Instead of saying login, we say enter password. This kind of looks like a scam place, if I'm being honest. Like places that float around ROBLOX and will ask for your account information. This is by no means a tutorial on how to make those, though what they do is actually, well, not similar at all. They use just a remote event and get you to steal your password, and use that to steal your password by simply saving it to a database underneath your ID. They're not presenting you with any data. They're not creating any accounts for you artificially. They're just taking your password that you'd so gullibly put in thinking it's like a ROBLOX game. Well, let me use my ROBLOX password. Not the case, chief. Somebody just got your password using a data store service. What else? So we're logging in. We're going to say what is the text at the end? So login GUI. I hope the text stays before the function terminates. Before the thread ends. What's the term there? I don't know. Text box dot text. So local pass is login text box text, and we pass the user ID and the pass to the function, and we'll just say local data equals blah. Now we wait for a response here. Once we get the data, we're just going to print something to our text label. We'll say, sorry about that. We'll say we'll print the status of their account, online, offline, other. We won't warn anything on the client, just because all those checks are happening on the server. So now all that needs to happen really is this just needs to be bug tested. And beyond that, I think it's good. I feel like I'm missing one thing. Let me just rack my brain for a second trying to remember it. So the client sends their user ID and the password. That goes immediately through the remote function to fetch account data, where it's their user ID and their input pass. And then if there's a password given, if there's data given, I see. So remote function, the player itself is actually passed as the first argument. Theoretically, you could log into somebody else's account from your computer. Working in ROBLOX, where you join and log in and you have one account, in this hypothetical, not the case. So we're just going to gather their user ID from the player that's sent. And that's secure enough for this simple case. And we don't want to fire anything more than the password, because the player is sneakily sent along remote functions and remote events without you having any knowledge of it, really. Anyways, we could just run through the gamut now, see if anything happens. This is the part of development where we experience the bug testing phase, which is either a real good experience, a real quick experience, or it's like a experience. I prefer it when it's the former. Player GUI is not a valid member of players. Well, fair enough. Okay. So we're in now. Enter password. That's what we didn't do. We didn't set up any UI for creating an account. So let's do that. We're going to hide the login UI, and we're going to add the register UI. Just going to straight up copy the text box over. Ooh, that needs to be scaled. It's a bit big, actually. 32. Gotham Black is good font. I should be doing this for both of them. Gotham Black, size 32. Text not scaled. Text color pure white. Yes, please. Obviously, this UI sucks. It's totally functional, though. That's all we need. Totally functional, just for the demo, for sake of demonstrating the code. So yeah, it's good there. Please register, and we'll make this a little smaller, just so we know we can see the difference between the menus. We'll say new password on the placeholder text. Now we need a function for this, actually. We'll say register. And we need to hide this as well. Hey, thanks for the donation. Wait. That wasn't a donation. That was, a like? What is that? Somebody liked the stream. And they're using like a default notification. Oh, cool. Deported just subscribed. Thanks, dog. That was through Twitch, yeah? Ooh. Demon Dragon Plays YouTube? Are these real usernames? Or are these like fake notifications? I think they're real. But neither of those people are in the chat. So it might just be a YouTube thing. Hey guys on YouTube, how you doing? Hey, there they are. Yeah, they're not fake. I'm just getting used to this new multi-stream setup. Appreciate you guys on YouTube. Thanks, y'all. So it looks like those subs are YouTube subscriptions, which don't give any, they don't cost anything. They're free to subscribe on YouTube. The noise is fun though. Good trial run. I'll add that to my notes for after the stream, what I need to change. Silence, YouTube subscriptions, and give a cooler image. Cool. And we're gonna make a tertiary UI for the login or register. I feel like we're making it a little too complicated on ourselves. Let's just split this in half. So the login GUI will be moved to one half of the frame. And then put that in the register GUI, make that invisible. Put these inside of it, boom. And then we'll just make another one for logging in. Duplicate that, gut it. Put it halfway across. Good enough. Rename it. Log in. All right, this looks so messy, so messy. I'm okay with it. It was supposed to look bad, just to demonstrate concepts. Please register. This shouldn't point to, no, point one. Call this the login menu. Sorry, I got an alarm. Oh, hey, that's the Buga team meeting alarm. I'm gonna try to wrap this up real quick. I think that's still going on today, but I haven't confirmed to the team. Give me 1 sec. Okay, so let's try to get this thing functional before I have to depart. Say login, say title. And we'll make this all one UI. So this is the login. Let's call this the interface. Database handler. Nope, we need local script. Login GUI. Interface. Dot text label. I think that's all square. Now we need a register, bind register. Oh, and we actually could use an output. We'll call this an output. out ut. Okay. This is the register portion, interface, text box. Interface dot login dot text box. Hope I'm remembering all the different connections. I think that's all of them. This is the register part. And essentially all we're doing here is sending another remote to the server called register. Local pass equals login GUI. Interface, login, text box, text, and that's what we're going to switch to register. And then if we get a confirmation, then we'll just print something in that new output. Account created. That's going to be the phrase that pops up when we create the account. Confirmation, game, replicated storage, register, invoke server, pass. Cool. Now in the database, all we have to do is we'll say another connection to this event, another connection to this remote function, as if it were a listener. It technically is a listener. And this works just fine. Player.userID, input pass. So the create account function will that returns true, otherwise returns nil. Looking good. Sorry I haven't been paying attention to chat too often. I'm gonna have to have like a new way to look at chat. Some kind of, I could use my iPad here. That might be the smartest thing to do. But see, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my iPad up on the on some stand here. I'm going to point it at the back wall, and I'm going to have a glass whiteboard between me and the camera, about right here. And I'll draw on this whiteboard. Sorry, between me and the iPad camera. So I'll be drawing on the whiteboard, and you'll be looking through it, through the glass, at me on the other side. And I'm going to mirror the image so that you guys can read what I'm writing without me having to write backwards. So that'll be cool. I can demonstrate coding concepts. I saw a professor do that. I forget where it was. I think it was like some Harvard professor of electromagnetism has some tutorials on YouTube, and pretty high quality stuff, but it really, it's so clear because you're not looking at the professor's back, you know, you're just like, he's looking at you, but also through the board, and the information is completely legible. So cool. Much easier than typing things too. I just press a button, and then that would be the other perspective. So we'll get that set up for, well, whenever I get the dry erase board. Did we get a sub? Hang on, sorry, I think I missed it. It might have just been a follow. You'll have to forgive the new setup. Well, give him some love in the chat. Oh, that was bits. Thanks, Wanda. Poggies? Thought you said pierogies for a second. I was like, I know what I'm having for dinner. Well, let's wrap this up. I don't want to keep my guys waiting on the meeting too long. Let's go ahead and give it a test. Probably some errors. There always are. Not this time. All right, so on the left we have our registration, and on the right we have our, oh, well, there's the error, and it was actually waiting for something that never existed. We renamed login GUI to interface and forgot to change the wait for child. And everywhere it says login GUI, we're going to change that to interface, capital I. Lowercase I. Got to keep the convention. Play that. Yeah, Wanna, stop being rich. Flexing 200 bits on all these kids? That's like a daily allowance. Interface is not a valid member of screen GUI. You got me there. How not? Line 6? What? Oh, interface.interface. That doesn't exist anywhere. I think that's all we need to do. Alright, I knew there was something wacky there. Hey Wana, has anybody redeemed like huge amounts of the, what is this called? Essence yet? I don't know if I have any rewards set up right now. Oh, I do. All the rewards are still there. Nobody's donated any essence yet. Focus lost, not a valid member of frame. Register.textbox, there we go. Good enough. Okay. New password. Spaghetti. We sent it. We didn't get anything in the output. That's disconcerting. What happens if we input spaghetti into the login menu? Same outcome. What? This is the part of a stream where you put in prints to debug. You look at the path, say, okay, I fired the function with the password. If data, then else. Warn, client didn't receive data from login attempt. Else, print, client didn't receive confirmation for account creation. And then we can see, just to make sure those are actually firing, which they're not. So that's interesting. It must be a problem with our focus lost function. Could it be enter pressed? Let's try clicking off of the text box in the register portion because we didn't add enter press to that one. Surprising. All right. I hate to get this system like almost completely there. Let's just add a submit button to each one of these. All right. So text box, we're gonna replace, or we're gonna add a little image button underneath there. Definitive input. Since I guess I don't know how focus lost works. Position, it's gonna be the same position as the text box. It's just gonna hang out underneath it. Sounds good. We're just gonna call that button. So there's our cute little button, our go button. We're gonna give it a border size pixel of 5. Have you ever seen a more beautiful button? No image for that. What? Oh. Gotcha, gotcha. No sweat. Can I make the border go inside? Yeah, I love how they added that. I'm gonna give it the same color and just make it a little darker so it looks kind of like a, yeah. Whatever, that's as good as we're gonna get. Little mock button. Same with register. And then we're gonna rebind the inputs. So interface login dot button activated. Connect. Same story. Should be it. Clear text on focus lost should go away though. Clear text on focus lost. Got it. These need a buffer. Okay. Let's see, let's see. Hi, Hot Girl's mom. What's Mr. Sawyer up to? I'm making accounts, like a fake database. Not a fake database, I'm making a real database. But like a little demo. Boop. No output? God hates us. Okay. Well. Enter pressed. Oh, that's it, that's it. Get rid of that. That doesn't exist when you're working with image buttons. Confirmation passes the text if confirmation, otherwise warn the client. So it's like the functions could be getting hung up on the server side. Don't see why that'd be the case though. We'd either get data or we wouldn't get data. It wouldn't be getting async forever and ever, you know? Gonna try again. Are we returning anything on the database handler side of register? I believe we are. Should return create account, and create account does return. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Have you ever thought of making Booga Booga a real game on its own? Yeah. I think about that a lot more lately. You've got to be kidding me. I can't even get something to print in the output. So it'd be noob confirmed. Doesn't know what he's talking about confirmed. Can we at least print something when these buttons are activated? And then we have to diagnose which step of the way these are not printing, because this is a little crazy. Boop. Yeah, look, it's printing. It's printing oog every time. We're invoking the server. Server received, so we're going to say print server received. Login attempt. And then we're going to print the player user ID and the input pass as well. Same true for registration. Okay. Boop. Oh, the server's never getting fired. I'm 100% setting up a... I'm probably setting up a bad remote function listener. If I had to guess. On server invoke. Am I ever saying that? Yeah, I am. What's the demo look like? I'm not seeing anything different here. Oh. No. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, this whole time, the server code has been in a directory on Roblox in which code does not run. Server storage. This whole time we needed it in server script service. Just goofy. Just goofy. Our previous method was probably working too with the text inputs. And then, oh my God. Dude. Well, yeah, it's kind of hard to bug test when your code doesn't actually run. So this is why being a game developer is awesome. You get to embarrass yourself like that every day. Okay. So we have better errors. It's rejecting it because the game is not open to accept data stores. If I wanted to do this, I would have to publish it as a see, but this is if I publish this as a game to Roblox, people could play it and then they'll put in their own Roblox passwords, which could be seen as phishing. So I can't publish this to true Roblox, but I can publish the code off-site. Does anybody want this code in the chat? I don't know. Might be helpful, might not be helpful. If anybody wants the code, just say me, and then I'll post it to a GitHub, and then I'll link the GitHub. But if you guys are just watching for entertainment purposes, that's totally cool too. Couple people want it. All right. What's the paste bin? Sorry, I'll do a paste bin. Oh, I can't log into paste bin? Their servers are down. Oh, well, that blows. Anywhere else I can use paste bin? Paste.ubuntu.com. We're gonna call this the server. What? Poster. Database handler? Okay, cool. So I believe you guys can fetch this. This is the I'm spamming in the Twitch chat right now. I'll also spam it in the YouTube chat. And I guess I'll give it to the Facebook chat. What's up, Facebook chat? Finally found a stream kid's not streaming. Yeah. I'm still a kid though. In my heart. Does that sound like a boomer thing to say? Now let's give you guys the local code. Only problem is I can't send you the actual model, like the hierarchy. I can send a link to the model for the local interface. So you guys can give it a test. Okay, so next I'm pasting the local handler. We'll call it the local input handler. Got it. I'm gonna send that to you guys, starting with Twitch. Going to YouTube. Now, Facebook. I don't really have to spam it in Facebook. Cool. What else? I suppose I can publish this as a model. Save to Roblox. We'll call it interface. Database interface. It's not really an interface with a database. Yeah, no, technically it is. Technically it is. Allow copying. Sounds good to me. All right, I'm going to post the model link in the chats as well, and then this will be a done deal. It's uploading still. Oh, got it. It's going to YouTube and Twitch and Facebook. All right, guys, there's our rudimentary database demonstration. So this is just like a really quick test of the stream situation. I'm gonna be streaming a lot more lately. I just got Prime with Streamlabs OBS. I'll probably be going live every day, streaming to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. It's gonna announce on Twitter, so go ahead and follow the Twitter. I'll put all the social links below after the stream. Plug, banter, blah, blah, blah. Thank you guys for tuning in. I will see you next time.